Who were you in high school, in 10th grade? I'm actually curious.
Gosh, that is a totally different Candace. I mean, I would say I was probably who everybody was in 10th grade. You know, I was definitely just trying to figure out who I was. I was skipping classes. I was always in good classes, though, but I was skipping them. I had a boyfriend who I was obsessed with, you know, and so we were always skipping and going other places. Definitely not conservative, but I would say not politically inclined at all, which is important to state because people have kind of shifted the narrative and said I was like a radical leftist or something. I just didn't care about politics, never voted, wasn't following it at all. But yeah, always loved communication, excelled at English and writing and things of that nature. And yeah, I mean, teachers would probably say I was a bit of a smartass.
Well, I'd be surprised if they said that. No way. They called you smart.
I was always consistently a smartass.
Really?
I can see it, Candace.
Absolutely.
I can see it.
Yeah.
What do you think your fellow classmates are saying about you now? Like, I didn't see this coming, or I totally saw it coming.
Totally. I would think they would say the opposite. Yeah, and my parents, I mean, just I've always been very sure of myself, even when I was wrong. Do you know what I mean? If that makes sense? Yeah. Like I have a 2-year-old
like
toddler.
Most women.
And I have a 2-year-old toddler son who's got that same characteristic where he's always very sure of himself, even when he's completely wrong. So
were you the 4.5 GPA? Were you the 4.2 GPA?
No, I was like the 3.5.
Okay.
Because I just didn't care.
Got it.
And that was 3.5 without trying at all.
Were you playing sports? Were you an athlete?
Cheerleader.
Okay. Big high school or small high school?
2,000 people graduated in my high school, so relatively big.
More English, less math? Did you like science?
Hated math and science.
Okay.
Loved English communication. So kind of makes sense that I'm doing English communication. And when I graduated, I majored in journalism and English. So words always just came very easily to me. I loved to read, which was my dweeb habit that I developed from the time I could pick up a book.
What did you read back then? What were you reading?
I was actually reading all fiction. My mom was a part of some weird book club where she'd just get like Nora Roberts and Dean Koontz, you know, and it was just what I was reading. Obviously, the books were bigger than my head when I was younger, but it was just what was on our bookshelf. So I read through everything my mom read through. I was very into Harry Potter. Forget it. Like racing home to try to beat my mom to read the books when they came out. Like very into the wizarding world of Harry Potter.
Have you ever met him?
I haven't met him yet.
I like that.
Meaning you plan on
I plan to meet Harry Potter.
Nice.
Yeah.
Maybe we can arrange something.
Yeah.
A little Hogwarts action. Little Candace
Well, what
Owens.
house would you be in? Did you guys read Harry Potter?
No.
That is deeply upsetting to me. Every person should actually read it.
Really?
It's a
Why
really
is
good.
that?
It's a really good book. I mean, it's not didn't become this whole thing as it was a bad book. I'm telling you, it's really good.
What house are you?
You know what? I don't.
Wow,
It's a big deal.
This is a big deal.
Yeah, I know.
Gryffindor. Where you at?
I feel like I would be like Harry, like it would be like between Gryffindor and Slytherin, and then I would be able to pick my house. That's a reference to people that watched Harry Potter.
Pat, do you
But
know
I actually-
anything that she's talking about?
But people that are watching this show do, because Harry Potter was sensational, and they should place you in a house. I want to actually know.
Wow, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Rob, can you ask them what house they
Ask
put Pat in?
him what house they would put him in.
Harry
Let's
Potter.
see what they
That's
say.
very important.
Okay,
How have your
if you had
kids
to
never
guess,
watched
hold on,
that?
Adam. If you
Not
had to
gonna
guess
ask my
what they're
kids.
gonna guess, what do you guys think? Gryffindor or Slytherin? They're gonna say Pat.
There's more houses.
No, there's
though.
more houses.
Yeah.
He could be.
But I'm saying they're gonna pick out of those two main ones. He has to be Gryffindor.
Now I have to go.
you have to do it.
What are you doing?
Could be Ravenclaw.
Oh, Ravenclaw.
Now
I
you're
don't
just
know.
blowing his mind.
Yeah,
with
I
this
don't know. I gotta
Ravenclaw
hear.
talk.
I gotta hear
Okay,
people.
well, Rob, why don't you, first of all, why don't you do this? Do a poll to see what percentage of the audience has read the book, so we can kind of get an idea on that.
Read or watch the movie?
I think it's
Both counts. Both counts.
Okay,
but
both
the
counts.
books are amazing. The movies could.
And Candace, can I ask you a question? So high school. He asked you, high school. You're getting older.
Slytherin. What's Slytherin?
Slytherin is the bad. Is the bad one.
But they're good witches
They're
and
good
wizards.
witches. Yeah. There's good people in there. So Candace, in your high school, Pat asked you're getting older. At what moment was the political thing hit in your head? Like at what moment where you're like, I gotta kind of get involved?
Recently, I mean, I guess it's not that recently anymore, but not until Trump came down the escalator in 2015. And I think it's because it was Donald Trump. He made everybody, even if you weren't politically inclined, you suddenly had an opinion.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
for sure.
Couldn't look away.
Yeah, so I didn't have, there was no political inclinations in my house. My parents were not politically engaged. My grandparents, who I grew up for a good portion of my childhood in their home, weren't politically engaged. So I would say I came from a very apolitical family, but of course left-leaning because you're black and you're supposed to be a Democrat. So that's just kind of the cultural poisoning that goes on. And in 2015, Trump came on the escalator. I remember thinking, I don't want this guy to win because not because of any reason other than he's an entertainer. You know,
Exactly.
So to me, it was like if someone like Hulk Hogan was running, I would just be like, oh no, he's an entertainer. You know, it didn't feel appropriate after Obama was in office. And then I watched a speech that he gave in Dimondale, Michigan, and he made this very interesting elevator pitch to Black America. And he was kind of just listing through all of the actual factual statistics in Black America of like, this is the poverty rate, this is whatever it is. And at the end, he's just like, I mean, did you try something different? What do you have to lose? And I was like, that's a pretty good business pitch. He's not exactly saying like I'm the greatest person ever, but he's saying, look around you. You've been doing the same thing, Democrats 50 years, nothing's gotten better. Why don't you just try something different? And after I finished watching it, I like remember turning on whatever I was normally used to watching, MSN, CNN, and they completely pretended that he attacked Black Americans, called him a racist, that he gave the most racist speech, said Black Americans were all living in poverty. And it was just such a blatant lie that I was confused about why my trusted sources were lying.
Gotcha.
And then I kind of started wondering what the racist side was saying, and I just got curious.
So we were just talking about high school. You left high school, you graduated high school, and you went Rhode Island, not exactly a bastion of conservatism.
No, it's not.
And then from there, you went to work for Vogue magazine, which was even further left than the University of Rhode Island. So where were you, like, on political spectrum and just thinking? Maybe you didn't think of it was political, but where was your thought,
Liberal.
like, when you left high school, then to Rhode Island, and where did you come to where you are today?
Well, I was liberal, but I wasn't crazy liberal. Like, you're never going to find any old pics of, like, I had Republican friends that, you know, it was just a different time. I think we were allowed to kind of be like, oh, like, I'm left leaning and right leaning, and you could be friends.
That was okay back then.
That was okay back then. That was totally fine. Nobody actually really cared. It was college. And I would say I was liberal in the sense that if you had just asked me, generally speaking, about things like, is feminism good? Yes.
Yeah.
Just everything, just the checklist of I've had a public school education, you know, and I had a public school education. So I would have said yes to this, yes to that, gay rights, all of these things, but not forcefully. Like, there's no old images of Candace like wearing a pussy hat or marching. Yeah, it just doesn't exist. I just didn't care.
Very disappointing.
More
for
of
the
an answer
community.
than I was.
What about Obama? Did you vote for Obama? This
No.
is what straight up. Why
No,
not?
so it's so funny because everyone says that there because I just didn't care. I mean, I shouldn't say that I didn't care. I was so happy when Obama won.
Yeah,
I think everyone
because he was black.
Because he was black,
Or because he's gay?
I mean, very simple. Both reasons: because he's black and because he's very much flaming. And I think both
You're
of those
saying
are
Obama
wonderful.
wears a pussy hat like to go to sleep every night? Is that-
Sure.
I think it's wonderful.
Wow.
Yeah.
And for those reasons, I remember sitting in my room on my college campus and like crying the night Obama won. Like, oh yeah, this means America's moving forward. I
Crying
didn't vote for
'cause
him.
tears of joy.
Tears of joy. And
Okay.
I mean, you could not feel the Obama
Oh my God,
effect in
of
08.
course.
It was
Yeah.
kinetic.
Yes, we can. The whole
Yeah,
of course.
it
So
was
15 years ago,
everybody-
how old were you at the time? At 15 years ago, you were...
How old was I when Obama?
You were in
won?
college probably,
I was in,
right?
I was in college. I remember being I think it was my sophomore year.
Got it.
20 years old,
Yeah,
give or take.
sophomore year.
So,
college.
so 2008, he's becoming president. Cannot believe this is taking place. And then the evolution into really get into politics doesn't happen until 2016 for
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
And then boom,
Yeah, I went and worked in New York. I was working at a private equity firm. I was just like fully trying to get myself out of student loan debt. So it was all about working for me. I was never an idiot. I was always about wanting to get my finances right. I've never not had a job since I was 14 years old. My grandfather was very much impressed upon the Owens. You have a job, you work. And so for me, I just wanted to get my financial life in order. And coming out of college, I had $150K in student loan debts, no money from my family. So it was the pressure to make money was what my focus was. I didn't really care about politics at all.
$150K? Where'd you go
Yeah.
to school?
Rhode Island, URI. Can you believe that? $35K a year. And then, of course, obviously, after
For a
you
random
take loans
public
from
university?
Sally Mae.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was like $37,000 per year.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.